Hello and welcome to another edition of the Grandstanders Live. I'm your host, Scott Kerman, and I'm joined by my usual cohorts, Uncle Joe McLaughlin, and he's JP's first son, Tim. Oh, we have a great show for you today. So, boys, let's get it started. We're going to start with the Boston Red Sox. We have a two-game winning streak, boys.
When I saw Mayor hit
Hallelujah.
home runs, I said, "Scotty, this is better than a menage a trois with Christy Brinkley twins for Scotty."
Better than
Let's not go
selling
that
10,000
far.
copies of the Duke.
No, let's not go that far. But it's very nice in its own separate little box. Look, we have to talk about Marcelo Mayer. It's pretty clear, guys, that he is going to be a superstar in the Major League Baseball. You can just see the way he carries himself and the swing, and he's great defensively.
Is there anything prettier than a nice lefty swing?
Oh, nothing. Nothing.
And why do the lefties get that? JD Drew had like the most beautiful swing you've ever seen in your life. Those left, even though I hated JD Drew's guts, but that beautiful lefty swing.
It's uninhibited. I don't know. I'm sure there's science to it, right? But it's beautiful, and he has it, and he has all the makeup. Wouldn't you say, Joe?
Oh, yeah. And he looks very good at third base, I got to say. If they got a good shortstop in the system, I don't mind him staying at third base. Take the pressure off him. Let him think about his hitting a little more. He does a fine job there. He's made one error since he got there, and the rest he's looked like a veteran.
And yeah, and great point, Joe. And Timmy, he's got power. So you can see this guy being I'm not going to go crazy, but you can see him being a 20-plus home run guy.
Well,
Absolutely.
do you think playing in Fenway hurts him from that perspective?
Well, last night he hit two
I
home
know.
runs to right field. So
It helps most lefties because you usually don't see a lot of lefties. The present Red Sox team is an exception. Usually teams don't throw a lot of lefties in Fenway Park.
But also, I'm not familiar completely with Mayer's game as far as whether he can go the opposite field with power. I don't know if I've seen that yet with him.
I'm sure he can.
Yeah.
Roman Anthony can, obviously.
So you put Mayer in Yankee Stadium, he probably hits 10 more home runs than playing at Fenway.
For
Right?
sure, absolutely. Yeah. But we're not going to do that because he's never going to be wearing a Yankee.
No. He's not going to have Mookie as his middle name.
Yeah, I don't know what. That was very uncomfortable just now. I pictured that for just a second. And just that needs to stop. It's slander. Okay, so now
I was thinking something, you think of Ruth's home run records. That right porch is so short, and it's shockingly short, that right porch.
Devers, too, had 10, 15 home runs for Devers.
Hasn't Devers hit more home runs than any other opponent against the Yankees?
Yeah, he's got over 30. Absolutely.
And he hasn't been in the league all that long.
Yeah, Devers is obviously, having an incredible season after a very, very slow start. But I would trade his ass in a second if he gave me the right package.
For a top of the rotation pitcher?
Yeah, a DH.
Any day of the week.
A pitching beats DHs can be found,
Oh my God! Well, we have one in Yoshida. We got him signed for another 2 years.
He's a big time pro hitter, though. I mean, he's literally like under the definition pro hitter in the dictionary. Like you can put Devers picture on.
He's the best left-handed hitter in the league.
Well, I wouldn't put it that. No, I don't know.
Well, he's 30 plus home runs, 100 RBIs guaranteed every year, 900 to a one OPS every year.
Yeah, he's a top-notch professional hitter.
Obviously, he is. But if you could get a package for him, I think they could move on very nicely.
Do you think they could ever get a top of the rotation starting pitcher?
Oh, absolutely. I think they would have to get it right. They would have to get some great players to trade Devers. Like Joe said, he's one of the top hitters in baseball.
Nobody wants to part with those star pitchers, though.
He's also
and nobody wants everyone wants a young cheap guy. They don't want a $35 million guy.
No, that's true. But the Dodgers would take him. The Phillies,
every year that 35 looks like less and less, though.
Yeah,
with these contracts that are going out there now.
But we know, like guys in basketball that Tommy Heinsohn said were just a few hamburgers away from being out of the league. He's just going to keep gaining weight more and more as that contract is extended.
Yeah, 35 million buys a lot of burgers, that's
Yeah.
for sure.
But he can hit, though. I don't care how fat he gets. He can hit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. What is the problem with the Red Sox? Why are they a below 500 team? We're 70 plus games into the season. What is wrong with them?
They're not in sync with each other. When they get pitching, they don't get hit. And when they get hitting, they don't get pitching. When they get hitting and pitching, they get no defense. They can't put it together.
How, Joe, you said defense there. I think, when a pitcher has to go out there on a consistent basis and get more than 27 outs, that kills you. I mean, they went through a little stretch where they were just fumbling and dumbling, right?
Yeah,
a little stretch. The last 3 years, they've led the league in errors, and it's not in second place isn't even close.
No, but sure. There's 70 games.
Wait. How does that happen? Does that go to the manager or the whole program? I mean, there's been a million different players, right? How can you go 3 years in a row leading the league in errors? That's an organizational issue.
Didn't Cora address that last week? Remember, and he said, and nothing's changed, and so that has to fall on me, right?
Yeah,
absolutely.
There's been a whole series of players that have come through, and 3 years in a row you lead the league in errors.
Well, it would be nice to have some consistency with the lineup and put a regular 9 out there, and then see if the errors continue.
But to me, I think it's a great point. I think it also starts, because of 3 years, it starts with the minor league system. I mean, clearly they have to review their minor league coaching staff and say, are these guys teaching the right fundamentals? Because when these guys come up to the major leagues, they're throwing to the wrong base. Say Don, they're doing a lot of things that they should, by the time it gets to the major leagues, be passed.
Look at Roman Anthony, his first night, first ball hit to him right through his legs.
I watched my son play.
That doesn't happen in Little League.
I watched my son play for 3 years at high school level, and I don't think they have as many errors as the Red Sox have.
I know. Well, yeah, it's true though. Anthony didn't even touch that ball.
Yeah.
I mean, he didn't. He's a big guy. You would think it would have hit part of his body. And also, I just want to mention his first game in the history of his life in the major leagues, he didn't even run after it.
I know. He did what Jaron Duran did 3 years ago.
Yeah.
And, let Rafaela go get it.
Well, you know what? I'll give him a pass on his first game.
No, but Timmy, he didn't run for the ball. He literally he looked at Sedan to go get the ball that went past him. I mean,
his first game, though, I'll give him a pass.
What's
the book on him for fielding, Scotty?
Again,
he was a center fielder in the minors, Scotty. But geez, when we were watching that game the other night, Rafaela went over and took every ball in right field. Rafaela, and with Duran playing terribly in left, Rafaela is covering from left field to right field.
He was
everything.
Have you ever seen that before, Joe? That was unbelievable. Never. It's like anything over Anthony.
Timmy, every play,
Rafaela got
running all the way over, practically to the pesky pole and catching the ball in front of him.
You can't trade Rafaela. You can't trade him. He is at the minimum. He's JBJ. He may be better than JBJ because I think he's faster.
He's better than JBJ. Covers more ground. He makes it an easy catch out of what JBJ would have to be a tough over the shoulder catch.
Yeah. So Rafaela you can't touch him. He's an untouchable. Here it is. A few weeks ago, I had him being the guy out the door. It's clear who's out the door. It's Duran.
Well, he doesn't have for something very good, Scotty.
Yes.
But yeah.
There's a log jam in the outfield, and Abreu's going to be your right fielder. Anthony's going to be your left fielder, and Rafaela is going to be your center.
All right. So what we're looking for pitching. Pitching, right?
Yeah. But that's like the teams that want Duran, Tim, don't have pitching to give. They want to keep their pitching.
It would have to be a 3-way deal.
No, but
Yes, yes.
no,
Now you're on. You
Scotty,
are.
what else? We have our third baseman. We
no,
have the
no,
shortstop. We have our second baseman. Technically, we have our first baseman. We have our
no.
right fielder. We maybe could upgrade a catcher, but we're doing pretty good there right now, right?
We
What
need
else
catching
could? What
depth.
else could? Okay,
So
catching
catching
depth.
depth for first base. This first base is an unanswered question. You can't depend on cases
All
ever
right.
again. I mean,
And a left-handed hitting catcher wouldn't be bad.
you need a catcher in
Right,
this.
but very high. I would. I think those things come out. I mean, we need pitching depth, right?
Well, you would
Yes.
have a lot of pitching depth in the minor league system.
But there's a big gap. We got that big load last year in the draft. What, 13 pitches?
Yeah.
19?
Yeah.
But then there's nothing. You got the major league level is kind of stocked, and the bottom, but it's
Single A,
between
yes.
the double A and triple A. They don't have it.
They don't have it, right? So yes, but of course, yeah. Anytime you can get an established starter, because in theory you just basically have Crochet, and the rest of it seems like
Yeah,
a buyout.
Yeah.
Bueller is on a 1 year contract. Giolito is in his second year of his 2 year contract.
So he's
So
gone.
those two could be gone.
So you have Bayo, you have Dobbins.
Bayo, what goes out on Bayo, man? I don't know. This guy's like a freak. He's a psycho.
Oh, he pitched pretty good the other night.
Yeah, he's a nut,
What did
though.
he
He's
get?
a nut.
7 innings the other night?
He's a nut.
I think he's. Do you think he's any more than a fourth starter in a good team?
Oh, he's got the stuff to be a 2 or a 3. It's
Joe,
just
do you want to put the ball in his hands in an important playoff
no,
game?
because he isn't. He doesn't get the ball over the plate.
No.
He nibbles too much. He's got that Daisuke Matsuzaka disease. Once
what I saw in
two.
What I saw in that show, if he had a bad inning, he would go into the locker room and tear it apart. You know what I mean? If he had a hammer on the mound, every time he threw a ball, I think he'd like to whack himself in the head with that hammer. I think I don't think he has the makeup to pitch in big games.
Yeah, well, he'll mature. He's still young.
Yeah, he's a young guy.
What's he, 21, 22?
You hope, Joe.
Yeah.
That's not a given that he's going to mature, but you would hope he would. What is without acquisitions, I ask you, what's the 2026 starting rotation? Of course, Crochet is one. Give me the other 4 guys.
Bayo.
Okay.
Houck. Cutter Crawford. And hopefully someone new.
Dobbins or Fitz?
Well, them, but I would hope they a little addition, maybe a free agent or a trade for a more reliable pitcher than those 4 you just named.
If Mayer sticks at third base, would they be happy to see Bregman go?
Bregman go? Oh, yeah. I guess he's.
It's a 1 year deal.
He's got that option, yeah.
Purposes.
Yeah.
Because if you think about it, if you get Bregman and Bueller off the team and Giolito, that's $80 million freed up. Yeah, I've heard you can get some good plays for that.
I don't want to lose Bregman.
I'd rather not lose
31
Bregman.
32.
I'd rather move Mayer to short. Get rid of Story somehow. Bregman. Now we're talking about a serious ball club, okay? Bregman at third, Mayer at short, Campbell at second. We don't know what Cass is, so I can't even say. We got our right fielder, we got our center fielder, we got a left fielder. We could upgrade at catching. It's the pitching.
No, I love this from Narvaez. Oh my God!
I do too. But I wouldn't mind having a left-handed guy to spell him.
Yeah, he can't catch every game. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
That's
a tough. He's a big kid, though.
He is. That kid, I cannot believe he's Jason Varitek.
He's a big kid.
He is a big, solid guy. He's a man. That they acquired him has changed everything as far as catching depth in that organization. Oh my God!
He's hitting like 280 to boot.
He's batting cleanup most of the time, and rightfully so. Nobody's complaining.
Yeah.
Timmy, they got him for a low-end minor league pitcher and $300,000
from the Yankees, right?
Yeah. And this guy is a legit. He could make the All-Star team, right?
Yeah.
He could be Rookie of the Year.
If Rutschman wasn't with the Orioles, he'd be he'd be the number one choice for the All-Star.
Wow.
They got him off the scrappy. The same day they traded Teal to get Crochet, they picked up Navarez.
It was like they knew he was going to come available. They were going to.
So this then even clarifies more that it's pitching, Scotty.
No, it is pitching, yes, right. But again, I know that you make a great point with the three-way deal. I understand that, but then again, you could pick up these prospects and in the off season, figure out who goes, who stays, and then get what you want then, and maybe you take those prospects that you got from the Padres and you send them out.
Yeah, even if the outfielders and shortstops and you got plenty,
yeah,
there'll be another team that needs that. That's their need.
So you're saying like Bregman, okay? Are you saying we could spend our money better than we're spending it with Bregman?
Well, I have to be honest with you. I love Bregman, and I think he changed the look of the Red Sox the moment he came in there. But if he either has these problems, if he has lower body issues that he's now had twice in 4 years, that is taking him out for close to 60 days, I don't know. And as he gets older, I don't know if this is the guy you want to be paying $40 million to.
I do like him though. I
do like him too, but Joe, I like him on the field too.
Do you think that's why he was available? Do you think that's why the Sox were able to scoop him up?
Maybe that's why he stayed on the market as long as he did, because they just waited him out until he had no other options.
What he has chronic issues with these it's his legs, right?
Yeah, his calf.
Yeah. But he was out when he was with the Astros for like 2 months also.
Same issue.
Yeah, same issue.
That's not good.
That's not good at all. With sports, Timmy, once you have those kind of chronic injuries, those aren't going away. And when they flare up, now we know that that's 2 months of the season. I mean, that's tough to pay a guy $40 million.
Yeah. A lot of games to be played.
So it's going to be very interesting. We were talking about it a few weeks ago that he would opt out. I'm not completely sure of that now.
Well, now that I know about those health issues, I don't know what the market for him would be, Scotty.
Yeah. I mean, what would you do if you're the Red Sox? Would you extend him 2 years or would you just
Can you put a health asterisk on that?
No.
Yeah.
You can what you can do, Tim, is you can get insurance.
Yeah.
You still got to give him the contract, but you can buy insurance on the contract. But that would be prohibitive.
You can give option years too, options where you have the team as an option, but it has to be, and for the player option, he has to play X amount of games.
Bregman would have to bet on himself. I mean.
Yeah, but no team is waxing poetic about him right now when he's out right now. You know what I mean?
And it's the same thing that kept him out before. Like you said, it's a chronic condition.
So he's not going to put up big numbers by the end of the season because he's going to be out. He's just not.
And they're not going to get rid of. Just forget about $70 million.
80 million.
$80 million. They're not just going to say, forget it. We don't need that.
No, we're going to go in the open market. No, he's not going to do that. But what would you do if you're the Red Sox now?
I would try to. Sometimes to get rid of Story, because I would like Bregman at third, Myers at short, like Tim said, Campbell at second. To get rid of Story, though, you would have to attach something good to him.
Yeah,
like a Jared Duran, and get nothing in return for them to take Story. Maybe get a pitching prospect in return.
I think that might be
if you just trade Jared Duran, you'd get 3 pitching prospects. But if they take Story with them, you only get 1.
Well, no, that's Look, it's great that Story's hitting. Does that help his value at all, or do people just?
He's a very streaky guy, right? He's a streaky guy.
Yeah. He's just tough to watch. He's tough.
I mean, but when he's got it going, he gets going pretty good sometimes.
Yeah. But I can't watch him play baseball. It's painful. All right, we're gonna go to the New England Patriots, and all the talk is about the Messiah. all the time. And
I heard some talk
On
about
Mason Terrace, anyways.
I heard some talk about that. Diggs looking pretty decent out there.
yeah, when he's not partying on the boat.
Yeah.
Who gives a shit? I don't care what they do Monday through Saturday. All I care about is Sunday, Scott.
This is the
Yeah,
thing about it.
get him a blue lighter, anyways.
No, but this is the thing. Don't, when you're hanging out with your host, don't be having anybody videotape it, and then we got no problem.
Yeah.
I don't understand this. You're letting this guy videotape what you're doing. Just don't do that, and everything's being fine. I mean, we
Yeah,
don't need to see
that doesn't upset me. Whatever the hell he was doing doesn't phase. They're all doing it, Scotty. I mean, maybe some
No,
of
I
these
know, but just don't
Christian
videotape.
guys that kneel and pray after the game aren't doing it. Even probably half of them are probably doing it. I mean, these guys are young guys with a ton of money, and they obviously have to keep themselves in shape. I mean,
You'd be doing it. I'd be
Well,
doing it.
Diggs' problem have been with the coaches and the quarterbacks. He's a real prima donna, and the coaches and quarterbacks have not liked him. That's why he's had a number of different stops. The other thing is he's coming off a very tough injury. Not many wide receivers come back
What
at
you're
the
saying,
same level after the
he looks
ACL.
great out there, though, Joe. Right?
Yeah, he looks great to me, but then what do I know?
I mean,
they all look good to me out there.
I mean, 50% of these top end wide receivers are massive divas. We all know that.
Oh my God, for sure.
Yeah, but they don't. Whine and talk themselves up. Throw helmets on the sideline,
except for
and get
Antonio.
themselves thrown off teams.
Who's
He's
that?
been thrown off 2 teams now.
Who was the guy we had here? The absolute lunatic.
Which
Oh,
Irving Fryer?
no.
Antonio,
much more recent.
Antonio Brown, but we have one game.
Oh,
Played one game.
Yeah,
And
he was
put him over the cap or something.
Yeah.
That Belichick. I mean that move was the end of Belichick. Also,
Belichick. Like if they had let Aaron Hernandez wear an ankle bracelet, Belichick would have welcomed him with open arms on Sundays. I mean, this whole Patriot way thing. Belichick didn't give a shit what these guys did Monday through Saturday. It was all about Sundays, man.
Bob Kraft had the best security manager back in the day, and when he left, it was a guy from England with only with a prosthetic leg, and he ran a tight ship. None of those guys ever got in trouble. They were all bad. There were a lot of bad actors on the Patriots. In police trouble, but you never heard a word. Once they got rid of him, he left. They didn't get rid of him. He left, and they had nothing but trouble since. Right after that, that was when what's his name, the Jones with the artificial THC and everything. Hernandez, everything hit the fan when they didn't have him to cover up.
Oh yeah, Chandler
Jones. As soon as he was gone, there's a great in Belichick's book. There's a great story about Vrabel and that guy. It's funny. He was talking about what a great motivator Vrabel is, and the security guys only had one leg, he had a prosthetic leg, but they're all lined up one day doing stretching, and that guy is the security guy's running the steps in the stadium. He's running up and down the stairs, and there's a rookie that was sitting out of practice, and Vrabel was sitting in the line, and he says, "Hey, you. Look at that guy up there, and you're over there, and you can't even practice."
But yeah, and that's why we're very happy to be Mike Vrabel's this coach. Look, there hasn't been a game played yet, but doesn't that feel like a perfect match? Has ever been a perfect match?
Yeah.
I mean, Vrabel loves being here, and he should be the head coach in New England.
He's a Boston kind of guy. Doesn't he strike you like that? Like he can be coaching the Bruins.
Well, Timmy, I'll tell you, ask Scotty what he was like when we went out to that BC Pro Day. He was the king. He was starting around there like he owned the place, and everyone had to kowtow to him. It didn't matter who you were or what you were.
Yeah,
you were genuflect in front of him.
Yeah. I think football is the one sport. The head coach in football is the most important head coach in professional sports. I think like the whole team. His vibe kind of is what the team is. you know.
Well, he's in charge of like 100-something people. It's
Yeah.
not just the 53 players, it's also the trainers, the other coaches, the assistant coaches, the position coaches, the cameramen, everyone on
The
the
organization takes on the head coach's personality.
side.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You see what Keon White said this week?
He likes being yelled at.
No, Joe, tell him what he said.
Oh no, he just said, he didn't like Mayo at all. Didn't like Mayo at all.
And he
Because
said it's
what if
great
they
to
Mayo
now
was
have
too soft?
it's great to have a real head coach now.
Ooh.
Isn't that what he
Mayo
said?
was Mayo was
Yeah,
too
a lot,
soft.
to paraphrase, yes.
Yeah.
Because Mayo was
He
too
didn't
soft.
just say it once, Tim. He said it a couple of times.
Did it come across like Mayo was too soft?
Oh, just a terrible coach, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, amongst other things.
And
Yeah.
remember, all the guys, Mayo didn't like White, and all the guys that didn't like White are gone now.
Yeah. Well, this has to move in a positive direction now. All this stuff, this losing, this the bad coaching, all this stuff has to be put in the rearview mirror. Would you agree? Hopefully, this draft was a strong draft, and they need to start trending in a positive.
Well, they're all going to play this year, for good or bad. They're all going to play this year because the roster's so thin. Everyone's drafted. Everyone's going to play.
The motion of the NFL is rise, stay at the top briefly, and then decline, right?
Yeah.
We skipped 4 cycles of that with Brady, right? But you're only supposed to be at the top 1 or 2 years, right? And then everyone signs your stars away, people get older, coaching turnover, whatever.
Yeah.
Somehow
and drafting at 32nd,
that was the crazy part about the Patriots' sustained greatness. That was the crazy part. And that's not supposed to happen. The NFL doesn't like that to happen.
Having a good quarterback can mitigate that. Like you see it, Josh Allen has kept the Bills at the top.
Yeah.
Pat Mahomes has kept the Chiefs at the top. Maybe not the tippity top, but at or near the top.
Yeah, you can see the Chiefs are going to start to decline now, I think,
I think that's it. Yeah, absolutely. And it seems Andy Reid's probably at the tail end of his coaching career also.
Yeah, and they'll probably go into the dumpster fire for a few years,
Yeah, I mean, it'll be.
It's hard to do when you got someone like Mahomes. You'd like to.
Now, how old is Mahomes now?
Oh, he's still young.
He's got to be 30.
Yeah, he's got to be.
Plus, his salary eats up such a massive part of the cap, right?
But he's in that 50 million range. But he's not in the top 5 salaries.
Really?
He's Brady. He's up there, but he's not.
Yeah. I mean, so you got Mahomes and you got the guy at Buffalo, but you need like mega talent like that, a quarterback to even, to hang around the top.
To stay at the top. Consistently.
Did Kelsey retire?
No.
So he's playing again this year for the Chiefs?
Yeah, because he makes too much money. I think he's going to have to renegotiate his contract, though. They're not going to pay him like I think he was due to get like 13 million. They're not paying him that.
Yeah, he makes a lot of dough. Yeah.
Is it a coincidence that Brady had Gronk and Mahomes has Kelsey?
Yeah, you need that tight end, and the Messiah has Henry, who I think who's been a fantastic signing. I think
it's like a tremendous safety valve when they get a great tight end.
Well, especially when you face a good defense, they're going to take away your 3 biggest weapons, your 3 wide receivers, your big chunk yards getter. Because usually a tight end is usually a possession type receiver. He's not going to hurt you for big yards.
Yeah. Hearing lots about Henderson, the running back. Sounds like that was a very good pick. This guy is going to be.
They need a running back in the worst way. They have none.
Well, they got Stevenson, but and then
Stevenson's got to be better. The only reason why he's on the team is because of the. They just have no one in that room.
Other than fumbling Joe, he's a pretty good running back.
He sucks. The last 2 years, he sucked.
Well, no offensive line didn't help either, and having
but he was, as they say, making business decisions. He was just going down as soon as he was touched.
But fumbling was a big thing fumbling. I mean, did he fumble like 7 times in the season?
7 times, yeah.
First 8 games,
I mean,
yeah.
we know
He
one
led the
fumble.
he led the league in that, even when after he stopped after that. They
One
stopped playing.
fumble tends to lose a game for you. I mean, statistically, whoever wins the turnover battle, I think, is very high percentage is going to win the game. Stevenson does that. I think Stevenson's going to get cut. I really do.
No, they don't have enough. They need him. I think Brable is going to be tough with him. He's going to be real tough with him and
Make him sleep with
run.
the football in his hands.
Well, no, make him run on first down, and if he doesn't, then you'll cut him. That was his problem. He doesn't want to run on first down. That's tough yards.
You mean running backs get to call that? I don't want to do that.
Well, no, what they do is they just go down. Remember, Corey Dillon was famous for that. In the first 3 quarters, you didn't run him on first down.
Really?
Just go down. In the fourth quarter, that's where he made his money, and that's where.
Hey, I don't want any Corey Dillon.
Joe, you're telling me things about football. I'm not learning to my 64th year here.
You see it all the time. Guys don't want to do those tough yards. They go right down like a sack of potatoes on first down.
Corey Dillon.
They're not going to drag guys down the field on first down.
I would not want to fight. I would not want to fight Corey Dillon.
You get hurt too. Running backs get hurt so easy. They're just going, this 3 or 4 huge guys hitting them as hard as they can as they.
What an evolution! What an evolution in our lifetime, though, to watch the evolution of the running back position, going from like the guy, the man, like Larry Zonkers, the John Riggins, the O.J. Simpsons, the Thurman Thomases to like expendable spare parts now, other than a couple of guys.
The defense have gotten so big and strong that they just wail and beat the shit out of those running backs.
And by the time, the time they get through Pop Warner, high school, and college, there must be so many miles on their body.
They're always the greatest athlete.
Oh, they're always the greatest, yeah.
On every high school and college team. And even when they get to the pro, the guy that's cut and ripped the most is always like the running back guy.
Yeah, the fastest, the most flexible, the most durable.
Yeah. And you want to feel old? Corey Dillon is 50.
Wow.
Well, that's why you like him, because he's a fellow 50-er.
Yeah. Oh my God. All right, boys, we got to go to. Well, first of all, we're going to have to go to the Boston Bruins. Timmy, we always go to you first. Marco Strum is the new coach. He seems like I met him a few times. He's a very sweet guy. Does that play in the NHL?
Doesn't it seem like, this is just my take, when the team goes to the dumps, you need to bring in a disciplinarian, and then when they get rolling, and the team is doing well, they fucking tune that guy out and they bring in a manager just to kind of manage the personalities, because the players are now running the team. You know what I mean? I would hope, this isn't Sweeney nor Neely's first rodeo. These are hockey guys. And I know you don't like to hear it, Scotty. They have put a competitive product on the ice for quite a few years. I know the last couple of years were terrible.
The PR department for the Boston Bruins.
Well, I know I go to a lot of games.
I know you do.
Other than the last couple games, last couple of years, year and a half. It's about a year and a half, actually, because for half of that other season, they were doing okay. When I went to a Bruins game, I expected a W, and I usually got it. You know what I mean?
But
so there's something to be said for that, Scotty.
To be able to go home with a smile on your face 9 times out of 10, you go to a game. Yes. There is something to be said for that.
No. It's a long, cold winter, and you like going and watching W's, and we typically got a W at home.
No, but look, I'm criticizing the management, not upper management, not ownership, because Jacobs, you have to give him his credit. They have spent to the cap for many years. So they have gone out now and gotten those free agents and spent the money. It's Sweeney and Neely that need to go, because this team has been mismanaged.
We've had bad drafting. I'm hoping that kid at BC who got 0 goals all year. And we passed on that that defenseman who was at BU who won Rookie of the Year, just won Rookie of the Year. We could have had him instead of this kid.
It's just poor drafting.
We've had poor
but right now
drafting.
we're not looking for defense.
I mean, they gave up. Well, everyone could use a Rookie of the Year defenseman, though. Jay.
Yeah, oh yeah, but
we kind of sold the farm that year. That horrible year that I don't even want to think about. You know what I mean? What was that 2 years ago, right?
Yep.
We're kind of paying the price for that a little bit now. The team aged out. Bergeron.
Look, everything.
We would do for a down. We would do for a decline. It was time. It was time for a turnover.
The franchise turned on Game 7 of the St. Louis Blues Stanley Cup Finals. That was where I would argue that had the Bruins won, which they should have won, that there would have been a different story right now in 25.
Oh, well, undoubtedly. But guys just weren't playing. Look at Marchand now. In Florida, what does he have? 4 goals in the first 3 games.
He might win the MVP.
He might get 4 goals in the last 40 games with us.
He might. Well, he was coming back from surgeries and his health issues. I've heard him interviewed. He said it took him a while to come back. I mean, but he's 36 years old, a lot of miles on that tire.
Oh yeah,
you know what I mean.
For a small guy too. He's a tiny guy.
He's been fun to watch through the years, though. My God,
oh, yeah.
I love watching Marchand play.
Very fancy skater.
Did they give him away too easy? Because
we get a first-round pick.
I know, but
3 years from now.
No, right, but they also
it's a first-round pick, though.
Look, they should have added more caveats. It was second-round pick if they won the first 2 rounds. It was a first-round pick. They should have added if they win the Stanley Cup, it's another first-round pick.
Well, Scott,
they didn't have any first.
No, but I'm just saying something additional.
Or next year or the year after.
Scott, as you know, you can only sell something for what someone will pay for it. You know what I mean?
I know, but
I'm sure they shopped them around, and that was most likely the best offer that they got.
I guess.
It was expiring contract, Scotty. You know what I mean?
Competitor.
Right.
Expiring contract. He was a rental.
Yeah.
Well, he's a pretty damn good rental. He's gonna
he might win the MVP. If they win it, he might get the MVP. That might be the greatest pickup in the history of sports.
One of them. Who are you rooting for? Panthers or the Oilers?
Oh, I'm rooting. I love Marchand, man. I love him like I love Ray Borg.
Yeah. I was listening, and when coming home from the Red Sox game the other night, I was listening to that game, the 6-1 game, and that was the announcers just couldn't figure out what Edmonton was doing that game.
The series is 2-1, right?
Yeah. Florida. Game tonight is in Florida.
McDavid and Draisaitl don't win it every year. I mean, they're so freaking talented. It's beyond belief.
McDavid is a better skater than Bobby Orr.
I would agree. I always said put 5 wars against anybody in the history of hockey, and would put 5 wars against 5 Gretzky's. The 5 wars would win 20-0. Because I think you put 5 McDavid's against 5 wars. I think 5 McDavid's win. He's bigger.
Whoa!
Bigger.
He skates as good as Orr. He skates. I've never seen anyone skate as good as Orr. He skates.
And he's faster than Orr.
He's faster. He's big. He has hands. He can shoot. He has the head for the game. I think he's the greatest hockey player of all time.
Wow! Holy!
He's really fun to watch.
You can't
watch him skate. I just isolate on him.
I mean, always in a position.
But you can't put that. He has to win a cup. Timmy.
I don't know, but
yes,
Orr had more room to operate because that's why I moved back to the defense. I liked having that space in front of me to operate with. If you're a forward, it's get the puck and you got to boom, 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 boom. You know what I mean?
Things happen quick.
Orr had that whole runway to take off on. That McDavid. I think if you put McDavid back on, if this guys couldn't skate like the kids skate now, everyone in the league can skate. Back when I was playing, if you look at films of the the late 60s and early 70s.
They can't skate.
A
You're right.
Division III college hockey team would beat those guys down. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Terry O'Reilly couldn't skate at all.
These guys would make a move and guys would literally fall down. You know
And the goaltending was terrible. Some of the goaltending was absolute. These guys.
Yeah, I mean, it's an international game now. You got Russians, you got Czechs, you got Swedes, you got Finns, you got Americans. It was all Canadian farm boys back then. You know what I mean?
The goaltending is so much better.
Well, the equipment's the
they got masks on now.
They're bigger. You know what I mean? They're all 6'4" with giant pads. They can do full splits. That the new butterfly style. They just go like this. You know, and like you have like this much to shoot over each shoulder. You know what
the pads now are bigger than the goalies were.
Yeah. It's a different. I don't even know how they score goals now.
They need to make the net bigger, right? They have to. I mean, at some point, right?
Well, I don't know what the scoring averages are if they've gone way down on that. I mean, but those goalies get bigger. Also, the shooting's getting better, though, Scotty.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, they have limited the pads.
I was on I'll give it. It was a Division III championship team, but we had 5 or 6 guys in that team who could really shoot the puck. Okay.
Yeah. You
go to a warm-up now for Curry College, and you stand behind the nets at warm-ups. Zip. The 5th-line guy in a Division III team now can shoot as hard as anyone that I played with.
Yeah, right. Yeah, well, these guys are bigger and stronger now.
They've all been skating 12 months a year since they were.
And the coaching is so much better now. They have the fundamentals. It's just like baseball. You talk all the time, Scotty, about how now they throw so much better now than they ever could in the old days.
You had a guy coming out of the bullpen, 20 years ago that could throw 97. It was good night, right? Goose Gossage. What is Goose Gossage? Probably still like 92, 93.
Yeah.
Well,
Goose Gossage couldn't even come out of the bullpen now.
The kid from my town who we knew, Steve Bedrosian, won a Cy Young, and I don't think he could throw any more than 92.
Yeah.
You know, I mean,
Joe Schmo comes out in the 7th inning, 6th inning, and he's throwing 98.
Yeah, all of them now. That lefty that Tampa had last night, he was throwing 100. Lefty.
And we don't even know his name. He would have been like a national figure back.
I know.
When Nolan Ryan could throw 100. Oh, my God. Nolan Ryan. Now there's probably 15 guys, relievers, that can throw 99.
Well, look at Chapman, 103.
Yeah.
Oh, my. Chapman.
He's an old man doing it, too.
Is he still playing? Can he still hit 103?
Oh, yeah.
He hits 102, 103 every night.
God.
Always the strike 3, he'll rear back for that 102, 103.
Jesus.
What a big acquisition that was. I remember when I was in DC when that happened, and we were texting, we're like, Chapman, what the hell? Oh, some old bum. What are we getting him for?
Throwing 103.
He's been incredible, right? I mean, he's been fantastic. Oh my!
I mean, to get a fastball by these guys now, you got to throw 100 plus, right? So 98, 99, they're all used to it now.
What do you do with the Red Sox? I mean, do you trade him? I mean, I would consider extending him. I mean, you're not going to be able to.
Well, he's shown he's still at the top of the game. He's still a top.
So So you either got to extend him before the deadline, or you have to trade him, right?
Yep. I would say do one or the other.
Scott, you still giving up on this team?
Oh, I've given up on the team. I think the Red Sox have given up on the team. I mean,
just won 5 out of 6, right?
No, not 5 out of 6.
4 out of 5. 4
out of 5.
They're 6 and 4.
Took 2 out of 3 from the
Yankees. 6 and 4 in the last 10. That's how usually they kind of.
I mean, wasn't a team a recent World Series winner had a similar, even worse record at some point?
I know, but I mean,
a couple years ago,
how many pitching? They have Crochet and Pray for Rain.
Well, they have Bueller. What's it? Bueller? Who is it? Bueller?
Yeah. So they're 9 games out of first place.
I mean, Bueller closed for the World Series last year, right?
Yeah, but 9 games out of first place, so they're done.
And they're 3 games out of the wild card.
3 games, but
there's like a half dozen teams in front of them.
Oh, so there's
but a lot can happen.
5, 6, 7.
Mayor's up now. Teams, the other guy's up. Anthony's up, right?
The big 3 are up.
Yeah,
but you're not going to win a World Series with those three this year. You may in future years. You don't have a first baseman, though Toro has been fantastic. And Toro belongs in the major leagues. I just don't know. He's another
He's
super
got to find
utility
a
guy.
position. He's not a very good first baseman or third baseman. He's got to find a position.
Right, but he's a super utility guy. I mean,
Yeah.
he's serviceable. So another Red Sox do really well with utility guys. Ref Schneider,
Brock Holt,
Gonzalez.
The ball boy.
Yeah, we always have good utility guys, but unfortunately, we need starting players. All right, we got to go to the Celtics. So I heard by what Kevin O'Connor, pretty legitimate guy in the national media, he thinks
Yahoo
he's
Sports.
gone. Drew's
Who?
gone.
Who'd you say?
He said he think so Kevin O'Connor, who's very established in the NFL, NBA media, says Drew's gone, and KP's gone, and Sim House is gone.
And he still picks the Celtics as the team to beat next year in the East, even with that.
Well, look. The fact is, okay, get rid of those three guys. So what's your starting lineup? And taking account,
Tatum is out, and Tatum's not there either.
But I have to be honest with you. I'm going to bet you Tatum's back by February.
That's asking a lot. I would. You may as well eat it. Give him all the time he wants. If he wants to go to May, fine. And if we
what's the starting lineup?
and we're in the play-in tournament, great.
What's the starting lineup for opening night without Tatum? Brown,
D. White, PP.
PP now becomes a starter, right?
Yep.
Torrey
Craig.
No. Who else?
Baylor Shireman.
Cornett is our starting center.
Al Horford.
Horford's like 41 now.
But he would be your starter, right?
It could be one or the other. Yeah. Well, that's where they get weak.
That's why they're saying they're going to take a center with the first pick.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, there are other players that we're missing because
I know Scotty got real thin real quick, didn't
it? It sure did. So we have
it'd be how about Davison or
oh my
God, who's the bald kid? The bald kid,
fellas.
Oh yeah, the bald kid.
Fellas, this is starting to look like a. Oh my! This is looking like a.
No, I bet you that Jordan Walsh could be in the starting lineup.
Oh my God!
Yeah, it went from Brown, Tatum,
and PP still comes off the bench.
D. White and Drew
Holiday, right? Hauser
with PP.
Hauser,
the other center coming off the bench, right? I mean, that looked pretty good, right? That was 7 deep, 7 really solid deep,
really
right there, right?
Oh my!
All of a sudden, it goes to like who? What?
And then you look at OKC and Indy and how deep those two teams are. Indy's winning with the bench guys. Their starters are doing nothing.
Oh my gosh. We're going to be in the lottery. I'm going to be rooting for the Celtics.
No, we're not. Relax.
No. What? We're going to be
losing. It's not going to be a firecracker winter with the Bruins rebuilding and the Celtics rebuilding.
Oh my God.
But listen, you know what gives me faith? I'm a general manager for the Celtics, man.
Well,
he's got the blackboard going. He's got
a tough job ahead of him.
Okay, but you know what? Would you rather have anybody else on the planet given that task right now?
No, I agree with you. But so obviously, we're going to trade KP. We're going to trade Holiday. We're going to trade Hauser. The guys that we acquire.
We won't get a bag of balls. Scotty, he won't trade them for a bag of balls.
No, right. I'm saying guys we acquire are going to be in the starting lineup. At least, there's going to be one or two guys.
So do we have faith that he transforms those guys into something good?
This is going to be very interesting because
are they gone because they can't take back guys?
Are they gone?
No, they can't all of a sudden if they're starting to get rid of all that money, Joe.
Yeah.
But
they got to get rid of the money first before they can do
try to get a guy who was like picked 5th in the draft who hasn't lived up to his billing.
Oh my God, that's called Jeff Green.
But you know what I mean? Like, no, but
Danny loves him.
I have faith in our guy though. That he'll find a couple of reclamation projects, like someone with
Well,
super
Derek White.
talent who hasn't blossomed yet. He has
Derek
a good
White.
heart for that. Yeah.
Timmy, Derek White.
So,
Derek
some guy
White's
who was picked in the top 10 in the draft who hasn't found his stroke yet or it just hasn't blossomed yet.
Okay, give me back Neesmith.
Neesmith, yeah, a guy like that. You know what I mean? A guy who, he's a star now, but the Celtics gave him away for not a lot, right?
Oh,
I mean,
they got brought
you go to the
Yeah.
halves like the OKC's guys that can't crack this starting lineup.
and also those if they win a championship, all those guys want to get paid now. You know what I mean?
I think
That's why it's hard to say.
Because it's on a kind of on a schedule if and when you get paid.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to stay at the top. All of a sudden, like the Celtics are dealing with now, it's hard.
But
to stay at the
OKC
top.
has and Indy are both in pretty good shape as far as salary cap.
Indy would have beat the Celtics. I'm just telling you, Indy would have beat the Celtics.
I was terrified of Indy, Scotty. I got to tell you. After what I saw last year, I said, these fucking guys are good.
That was without. Remember, we played them without Halliburton.
But we said that during the season and in the preview show for the season, we said the team that we're afraid of most is Indiana. So it's not a surprise that they are.
Not to us, anyways. Maybe to a lot of the country.
Yeah,
not to us, though.
That was the craziest sweep of all time. I swear to God.
Yeah,
felt like we could lose every game.
If Brown doesn't hit that crazy shot, it goes 7.
It doesn't feel like a sweep. It didn't feel like a sweep.
No,
because those guys were good.
Oh, we'll always be. But they choked. They didn't know how to win yet.
And Holiday just controlled. Holiday was the most valuable player on the team in those 4 games. He controlled that final 2 minutes in every one of those games.
Yeah, he did.
That assembly of players on the Celtics, that could be one of the all-time great teams too.
Well, see, I mean, the Celtics absolutely, yes, they're one of the great Celtics teams.
Porzingis. I know he wasn't there for much, but when Porzingis is going, he's tremendous, and he's a unicorn, right?
Yeah,
he wasn't involved in the whole postseason.
We had a healthy Drew. Everyone was healthy. Brown and Tatum in their prime. D. White was hitting on all 8 cylinders. Drew was hitting on all 8 cylinders.
And Horford played immense.
Played out of his mind.
With KP out during the playoffs, Horford stepped up.
Who's the guy? Who's the white guy, the shooter there? We just mentioned his name.
Hauser.
I mean, he's deadly when he's got it going.
I'm telling you, though, Brad's going to have a problem because some of these teams in this league are going to offer a shitload for D. White, a shitload because they want him.
And he's under a very team-friendly contract. He's only going to be getting like 30-something million a year.
Yeah, in Brad we trust. Right.
I think D. White could be the one to go only because it could be such an overpay. He can't.
So like D. White to Dallas or something like that, or D. White to a team like that. You know what I mean? Houston.
Now, if OKC loses, they're going to be like,
or San Antonio, Scotty. You put D. White on San Antonio,
San Antonio, yeah. So there could be just a package of players and draft picks that you may not be able to say no to, right? I mean, I think he's the most valuable commodity on the team.
Would you say who has more power? Who has the hammer? Who's the nail here? The seller or the buyer? You know what I mean?
Yeah. So, but again, these teams, these general managers have to consider this stuff when these guys want to blow them away. Everybody's available. I mean, right? Isn't that a standard fare?
Yep.
Yep. I mean,
and who would you rather have pulling the trigger on these deals than Brad?
Well, has Brad ever made a bad deal?
I haven't seen him do it.
Joe, has Brad ever made a bad deal?
Not that I can think of, but don't forget, Jaylen Brown might get you the best package. It's going to be what
we can't do that. If we can't do that, then we're a lottery team. I mean, you can't.
Without Tatum, but. You can't play for the moment. You got to play for down the line too.
So you're saying that Brown's gone? Holiday?
No, I'm not saying it. I'm saying that if
Howard's
the best
gone?
package available to Brad gets him under the second apron, gets him maybe under. That would maybe get him out of the first apron.
You don't
How
know
are
what
you
it
gonna
is.
replace
Look at
him?
Dallas traded Dirk. You know what I mean? Oh,
That was
not
a
Dirk.
terrible
What's
deal. You mean Luca? That was a terrible
Luca?
deal.
Yeah,
I mean,
but you know what? You don't know what these people are capable of doing, Scotty. Right?
you have to, if you trade Brown, you have to get back at least
I guarantee Brad has his like a blackboard with his ideal lineup of players
You
from
would
around
have
the
to get
league.
a great wing back,
Yeah,
you
probably in.
have to.
he's identified the kind of the players that he would like to see on this
I
team that are
agree.
around the
Yes,
league,
he has
right?
flexibility. That's right.
And
Yes.
he's saying, okay, if I were to trade D White, this is the level that I would want in return. If I trade Drew, this is what I want in return. If I trade Brown, this is what I want in return. I think he's got every scenario possible written down on the whiteboard.
But a lot of it we're not going to like because the initial moves are going to be to get rid of money right off the bat to get out of that second apron.
Yeah, cool.
So
Yeah.
that because you can't make moves when you're over that second because they're a repeat offender too. So they're
But for every 10 million they spend, they throw 20 on top of it, right?
No. 50 on top of it because they're a repeat offender.
Yeah. That's not sustainable, you know.
But I don't think anybody's going to be. I mean, everyone understands KP and Drew leaving, and I have no problem with that. They're at the back end of their careers. That's for sure. I mean, I think that you'd be, getting something on the dollar.
And you have to get rid of the money first because then if you're over there, you can't trade. You couldn't trade Brown for a lesser money player and 10 draft picks.
Drew would be the finishing touch on like a very good team. You know what I mean?
I'm not trading Brown. I want Brown.
And I don't think
Brown, Tatum, and D White will win you another championship.
San Antonio took on Chris Paul this year to help Wemby out. Maybe they'd go with Drew next year as to help in his development.
That's fine. But would you agree that if you keep the big three now, which is Tatum, Brown, and D White, that
you'd like to keep that as your core?
Your core to win it. They potentially could win you another championship. Would you
and those three bring you over the salary cap without any other players.
Just those three.
Remember, D White gets a big raise next year.
Well, he deserves it.
He does. Oh yeah, and he maybe deserves more. He might have gotten the max from someone else.
I mean, are all the teams over the salary cap, Joe?
No.
D White again. I now that Tatum's hurt, D White's the most popular player in the Celtics.
Oh yeah.
I mean, Joe, Russ never believes us.
Russ doesn't like that idea at all. But I think he is. He's more the man about town. He's more available. He's the guy you see at Fenway Park. He's the guy you see,
every commercial
in the beer commercial. He's the guy. Tatum's only in he's a mystery.
Corporate commercials. He's in corporate commercials. D White is one of the most popular athletes in the history of this town. I'm telling you. And when they won their championship, everybody wanted a piece of D White.
Yeah, they name beers after him. They name sandwiches after him. He's that kind of guy. He's the people's champ.
Yeah, exactly. In this town, right, Timmy, that means everything.
Yeah.
And Timmy spends his whole time defending the Bruins as long as they beat the shit out of guys. That's all he cares about.
Marchand was the favorite. He was the people's champ for years. Yeah. The little guy that could,
Yeah. How about Sean Thornton was my favorite. I'll let you pick which hand I beat you up with. How's that?
Everyone likes the little guy in hockey. Remember Pie McKenzie? There was he was as popular as Bobby Orr for God's sake.
Oh, I love Pie McKenzie. Sean Thornton used to call people milk drinker. You milk drinker. That was one of his lines.
When McKenzie would go out there, you knew he was going to fight.
McKenzie had to punch up every fight. He had to punch up like that.
What was he, like 5'2"? Yeah, I mean, he was
he'd be punching up in fights,
Well, nothing was better than Winston challenging the whole North Stars. Was it the North Stars to fight? And none of them moved.
Look at you, girl.
That's the classic.
Hey, your turn to get out there.
All right, well, we got to go, but we do it. I just have to, before we go, I watch at least twice a year the Bruins going up in the Madison Square Garden crowd and beat the shit out of fans. I can't get enough of that.
The shoe.
Oh, I know. Climbing over the glass of the penalty box and
They
going
went right
into
over it,
the
like
fence.
scaled it, like
But the point that was always made that I never thought of was, why didn't the Rangers defend their fans and go out there up in the crowd and beat the shit out of the Bruins while you were supposed to defend your fans, right?
Yeah.
They let the Bruins go and literally beat the shit out of their fans and watched them. Unbelievable. One of the best Bruins, great history there. All right, boys,
oh yeah.
that's our show for tonight. I want to thank the fellas. Please check us out on the website at thegrandstanders.com and tune in again next Thursday night at 7 o'clock for another edition of Grandstanders Live. I'm your host, Scott Kerman. Have a great and happy night.